I remember when the marketing for season 1 of The Boys began. It was Amazon's hardest push for any of their original streaming content, maybe even to this day. Ads for the show were constantly shoved down my throat everywhere I looked. I couldn't watch any YouTube video without an ad for this show called The Boys being blasted right beforehand. And this shit looked incredible. I thought it was going to be some raunchy comedy show, making fun of superheroes, and because of the insane marketing push, I decided to give it a try. So about a week after the first season completed its run, I decided to check out the first episode, and it was pretty much what I thought it would be, until around episode 4. And then I realized, I'm not watching a comedy. I'm watching a goddamn drama with heavy comedic elements. I ended up staying up until 3 in the morning because I watched the whole season in one sitting. And right away, it became one of my favorite shows, and with each passing season, the show got better and better. Now, season 4 has begun, and we're halfway through it. And I gotta say, it's not only still incredible, it's the best running show on TV. I can say that now that the greatest show ever made, Better Call Saul, has sadly ended its run. And yes, I know you're gonna say it, and I wouldn't blame you if you said it was. With this season, I've noticed a lot of divisiveness over the fans, and the critic score at first was pretty low, but now it's shot up a whole lot. And the reception overall isn't as unifying as the rest of the seasons in Gen V. The audience seems to be a little frustrated with the show going on for too long, and of course, because of the extremely heavy political messaging of this season. When it comes to the belief of the show is going on for too long, I can agree that if the show goes on past the 5th season, I would agree with that. But as of right now, it's a bit of a slow burn show. That doesn't mean that nothing is happening. It just means it's not really interested in flashy action scenes or giant reveals every episode. It likes to take its time with the world building and its characters, and that's what makes the show feel so engrossing to follow. And in all honesty, I don't think modern audiences are used to a multiple season show that doesn't end in 2 or 3 seasons and doesn't get an actual wrap up. So to that, I say just stick along for the ride, and by the end, hopefully, it will all be worth it. But I will take a second since we're on the topic of stretching out the show. I don't like that they're having multiple spin-offs now. They have to be careful, or they might have a Walking Dead situation where there's too many shows happening at different points in the timeline. That'll make it damn near impossible to rewatch the show after it's done if all the shows start intertwining with each other. Moving on to the politics. Alright. I don't discuss my political beliefs on the channel, and I never will. Why? Because unlike most Hollywood jackasses, I know that I'm not a politician, and it's not my place to be telling you what to think or believe. And secondly, I am, and have been aware from pretty much the first episode of the show, that it's not only a satire on pop culture, but if anything, it's more of a show about social and political commentary. And there's still gonna be some stupid bitch-ass motherfucker typing, "Bro, The Boys has always been political." YouTube should really make a thing where no one is allowed to comment on a video until you've watched the whole motherfucker. Look, I usually hate politics wrapped up in my media, but in the case of The Boys, I actually love it. But I can't lie, the first 2 episodes of this season is a little too much. I think the show has done a really great job at balancing how they make fun of both sides over its 3 seasons, but this season, not so much this season so far though. And that's all I'm really gonna say on that. Now, in the context of the actual world of the Boys universe, I love what they're doing. I love the political espionage building up and getting to a point in the show where we finally see the consequences leading to something larger than what we've been seeing. I think the stakes have never been higher as we start to truly see the fear Butcher and the Boys have had all throughout the show finally start to happen. And the conversation with Butcher and Joe really make it apparent that the show is 100% building up to an apocalypse level threat, which to me, once again shows that there are things happening in the show. And we've gotten hints all throughout the show's run that this is the obvious threat the Boys want to stop. But you also get the sense that they have made themselves believe that more out of the hate they have from the trauma they've experienced from these beings. So you as an audience member are never sure if that's truly what will happen. But now, I think it's clear that they are going in that direction. So I find that exciting. The most intriguing aspects of the season so far has to be everything going on with Homelander, especially with the introduction of Sister Sage. At first, I didn't know what to expect from her character, but I really didn't expect her just to be along for the ride, planning murders right alongside Homelander, so that's been fun? I love how they're making him lose it over the idea of him aging, making him feel more human, which is destroying his literal god complex because obviously he wants nothing to do with any sense of humanity or humility. And I'm very pleased to see what they've done with Ryan, keeping him a sweet kid even though his dad is... well, that's Homelander. And then lastly, last season they set up this idea of Homelander having split personalities, and they're doubling down on it right now, and I'm fascinated to see where that goes next. All of this is adding to the feeling of the fear of the end of the world becoming an actual possibility, with Homelander losing it more and more. And at this point, he can't even pretend to be normal for more than 10 seconds without having a goddamn meltdown. But besides Homelander, all of the characters have their little depressing journeys. Huey with his parental issues, Kamiko going to therapy, Frenchie with drug and love problems, Starlight with her political issues, Mother's Milk with him trying to learn how to run the team, and of course, Butcher literally dying. And I think all the stories are good to great, even if the Kamiko and Frenchie storylines are repetitive. But I have a theory that they might pull an Infinity War, and by that, I think the characters are going to be so caught up in their own respective plot lines that they are going to end up splitting up on some level, causing Homelander to finally gain the power he craves, and by the end of the season, we're left with the team at a major loss and them having to come back together to finally take down Homelander. So yeah, that's my little thoughts on this season so far. I don't think it's as much of a step down as most people are saying it is, and I don't think the show is getting dull. I think it's just doing what it's always done, getting more mature as it goes along, allowing the world and the characters to feel real, relying less on shock value and more on deep real-world themes that, at times, make us uncomfortable. So, here's to a great start to another season of the best running show on TV now, and I can't wait to see where it goes next.